All right, another edition, the No Show Sportscast, wherever you're listening. Thanks for tuning in. We've got lots to talk about. Beginning, of course, with the Super Wild Card Weekend across the National Football League. Lots happened this past weekend with football, of course. Very exciting. We just saw the Tampa Bay Buccaneers lose to the Dallas Cowboys. Divisional round beginning on Saturday. So lots of excitement there. Plenty happening around the National Football League. We got NBA news. And of course, we are in the thick of it right now. We are in the very consequential parts of the National Hockey League and the NBA seasons. We can look at them we can almost see the end is approaching, you know? It's that way right now with the NFL because it's the playoffs and teams are going home, and I'm looking back at some of the schedules. We're seeing how it was, week 17, week 18. It was almost a different sport, but now it's very, very important because each game has everything on the line. Win or go home. If you're Kansas City, well then you're already home. Coming off the bye week, Kansas City, Philadelphia Eagles. So we've got matchups coming on Saturday and Sunday. We'll be reacting to those as soon as they're happening. But right away, we can see from this game last night, Tampa Bay just did not have it together at all, one bit. No one probably saw that the Cowboys were going to be playing this incredibly well, completely cohesive group that just took over. They didn't even need a solid run game. Pollard and Ezekiel Elliott did not get involved a whole lot. Dak just kind of took over. And I think that much like the Giants and the Vikings game, things were just kind of opened up for him. He was able to complete the passes that he wanted to. And Tampa Bay couldn't figure out how to respond. It was like the defense for the Cowboys was all working together as a homogenous unit. They were making life difficult for Brady. Of course, Brady still put it up in the air 61 times, I believe it was. Or no, it was like 66. He was putting it up in the air, making a lot of passes. But the season is over for Tom Brady. Coming out of retirement. It was a swift divorce that didn't garner a whole lot of attention. Subsequently, we were able to kind of move on past that to see how well Tom was going to play. In the midst of all of that, the Buccaneers had a tough time getting any kind of grounding in the season. And even to end the year, they finished 8-9. They had just a last-minute win in Week 17, and they were able to get into the playoffs by the skin of their teeth. But the problems are just everywhere for the Buccaneers. The defense, of course, no Jason Pierre-Paul. It was very difficult for the offense as well to get going. It was very difficult for Brady. The offensive line, you have Ali Marpet retiring. Alex Kappa goes to the Cincinnati Bengals. Ryan Jensen misses practically the whole season. So the offensive line right away struggling. Leonard Fournette, nowhere to be seen. 2021, Fournette played really, really well. And Mike Evans, everybody could see that Mike Evans was just not himself. He did not have it together this year at all. He had a suspension. Chris Godwin missed 2 games, but he still ended up with 25 catches more than Mike Evans. So Mike Evans was just not a huge part in the Bucs offense this year whatsoever. None of them could find a rhythm. Of course, the absence of Rob Gronkowski, and you wish that there was almost that player. That's why I feel like Godwin was so involved. But the offense was just not there, and now people are suggesting that Tom's... I don't think he should. Obviously, he shouldn't probably come back next year, but a lot of people are suggesting that he'll probably just go somewhere else. I don't think Tom is done yet because it's not going to be worth coming out of retirement if this year is it. If all that he did was just this season really wasn't much of a reason to come back. I think he still wants to compete, and there's probably teams that will take him, whether he comes back with the Buccaneers or not. A retirement would be wise for sure, because he really has nothing more to prove, and that's the most confusing thing about all this, is that he decided to go through with all this knowing that he doesn't need another ring. He doesn't need to prove himself anymore. The utmost respect, even after winning his first year with Tampa Bay, seemingly didn't need to come back again, but he's still fighting, and I admire that dog in him for sure, because he wants to win, he wants to compete, he loves the game, and I can appreciate that for someone who loves sports and loves the game. Jacksonville came back, obviously. The Jaguars just destroyed the Chargers, essentially. I'm gonna get into this, but essentially, like, we can look at the game that Trevor Lawrence had, and we can say that those 4 picks cannot happen whatsoever in the divisionals, and absolutely they can't, right? But we can wipe the slate clean, because Buffalo didn't look good either. Minnesota, obviously, they didn't succeed at all. They weren't able to get anything going. They played like Tampa Bay on Sunday. And Cincinnati, they didn't have to do a whole lot to beat Baltimore. But I'm wiping the slate clean for the divisional round. Saturday is 2 games, Sunday is 2 games. Every team just starts at 0 to me. I'm not holding what they had done. Each game is unique on its own. The opponent possesses the mindset for the team that they're able to do what they can do. And that's why it is so different from each game, especially when it's the playoffs. Very different circumstances than the regular season. Moving on into the basketball world. Haven't talked about the NBA for a while. I honestly haven't been watching much basketball. There's just too much going on, I suppose you could say. I'm watching way more NFL and way more hockey. Looks that way. Basketball is just honestly, wake me up when the playoffs start, or when we're a few weeks out and it's the play-in tournament. Really, yeah. The All-Star game is fun every now and then, but there's just a lot of teams. Honestly, like there's a lot of shocks and surprises in the NBA this year, with the Celtics being the top team in the East, Denver Nuggets being top team in the West. But everybody is honestly, there's a lot of space for teams that are just kind of in the mix. A lot of 500 teams, a lot of good teams that are in the play-in, a lot of bad teams that are playing a lot better, that are in comfortable playoff positions like Sacramento and the New York Knicks. So these things, this is great for the sport. Seeing teams that maybe should have been better, they could be in a different position, like the Phoenix Suns. They're usually at the top, but they haven't really been able to have much of a foothold on anything, at least consistently. And the Warriors are a 500 team. The Lakers aren't in the play-in. You've got the Raptors and the Heat looking on the outside, as well as the Hawks. And it's very different, I think I like it better this way, because every team has a chance here. LeBron hits his 38,000 point the other night. And, that was the other night against the Sixers. Probably another 350 more points to get to Kareem. Now, he's turning into this scorer who's almost going to be known as one of the best scorers, because he's able to get points in a lot of different ways from everywhere, and that's what it seems to be, right? Averaging about 28 points a game this year, but, he's kind of doing the Gordie Howe thing, where he's just hanging around and collecting the points and not just deciding not to go down. And I think that he's done plenty. He's done enough. He doesn't have to prove himself anymore. I think he wants to stick around, and he's very youthful. Obviously, he's in fantastic athletic shape, but of course he knows that, and well, in his own words, he would rather be winning. And he was able to beat the Rockets last night with the help of his teammates. But, putting up 48 points the other night. And the Lakers, I don't really know what to say. Don't really know if they've got a whole lot in them. But it's just, I think it's reflecting LeBron right now, being on such a bad team, not being able to win, but still putting up the points and chasing all these milestones. And it's a very antithetical place to be, because there's almost nothing that's relative to the rest of the league but from this Lakers team this year, because they aren't competing, they aren't winning. LeBron's doing all these amazing things, and that's getting more attention than the team, as usual, because his team isn't able to pretty much do anything. Anthony Davis cannot play. He's completely irrelevant. He's obscure. He's not a part of this team. And record-wise, they're completely just headed for another direction like they were last year, where they just didn't make the playoffs, and that's exactly what's going to happen this year if they can't figure things out. Yeah, last week I did talk to Sadir Shah last week. I got part 2 up, so check that out, and we'll be getting some more content in shortly. I'm looking to get some more guests in between the end of January, beginning of February. So we will be getting all of that in, and I'm looking forward to it.